Whose Views switches universes now for our latest Blake 7 review.
Hello, everybody. It's us at Whose Views Reviews. How are you? This is another in our Blake 7 series. Yes, we're up to episode 5 of season 1, The Web. Absolutely. As you can see, Lex is here, Richard is here, Paul is here, Jodie is here, and Andy is here as well. Nice to see you all. Come on into the chat. And if you are having today, or if you've had today off as the bank holiday, I hope you had a lovely day, because the weather has been fabulous around the country today. So if you've managed to get today off, congratulations, well done. And if you've been watching Spearhead from Space on New and Eden as well, fantastic. I hope you're all happy. So yes, brilliant. So yeah, listen, this is The Web, series 1 of Blake 7. We're going to go all the way back now, everybody, to the 30th of January 1978, where this episode was first broadcast on, of course, the then legendary BBC One. Written by Terry Nation, directed by Michael E. Bryant, and produced by David Maloney. And because over this weekend we've been talking about ratings, just to let you know that this particular episode of Blake 7 scored an overnight of 9.6 million. Those were the days.
That's fake news.
Those were the days.
Have we got all the scores for that? You know, the 7 days after it's in the iPlayer on top.
I was going to ask you, actually, is Blake 7 on the iPlayer?
No, it's not. No,
it's on BritBox only.
Yeah, BritBox only. Oh God, that's a big missing piece of British television history then on the iPlayer, isn't it?
Yeah, but they don't really want to recognise it. I don't feel. Well, I don't think they ever have really.
No, they haven't, have they? It's been one of the problems.
Because if you're a fan, if you missed it on the actual when it was transmitted, you were kind of stuffed, really. And it wasn't really. This wasn't really when VHS recorders were yet that common, you know. So.
It's true.
It'd have a trigger warning before it was broadcast anyway, wouldn't it now? Or on the
God, it would now.
Yeah,
but it was brutal because if your parents decided to do something, you were completely stuffed.
Yeah.
You're like, but I need to stay in and watch this. Tough.
Yes, and it was. See, the kids today will never know. Because this was how we lived. Yeah, our parents ruled the television.
It was the dark ages after all, let's be honest.
Well, I'll give you a little story. My friend Kath was forbidden to watch V, which was transmitted, I think, on 4 or 5 nights over a week. I think it was a week.
It was.
And she was forbidden to watch it. So my mum and myself said, come and stay with us for a week. That's what she did.
She
get to see it.
That's dedication for you.
Yeah. Gosh, there's another thing. That was brilliant. I've got another question for you all, actually, everybody. And you might know this, because for years and years and years, around the circles I've been in, I have been told a particular thing about this particular episode, and no one's ever actually clarified it or told me whether or not this was true or if it was just a fan rumor. So I'm going to ask you, were the Decimas Zygons?
They look like baby Zygons, don't they? Let's be honest. Or crossing Zygons and Jawas, don't they? Really, to be honest, yeah.
You mean the costumes being borrowed, or?
Yes, because the rumor I heard, Andy, what I've been told over the years is that the headpieces, especially, as well as other bits and pieces, were repainted Zygon outfits.
I will contact Chris Thompson and see what he says.
Yes, please do, because I need to know. I don't know about you guys in the chat. But I've needed to know after all this.
They're very reminiscent of Zygons, aren't they? Let's be honest.
They're very similar. Yeah.
See, Arjan is saying to us in the chat here, the mini Zygons episode. But do you know what, Arjan? It must have been in the late 90s when some fella I met at a convention said, you do know they're repurposed Zygon costumes. What? I said, what?
Led by Deep Roy as well. Fantastic Doctor Who connection there as well. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So let's see if we can find out. But it's good to see you all in the chat. Stephen is saying, so Stephen Braddock's saying to us, guys, look, Zygon in the avatar there. That's clever. Hi everyone, great day, lovely weather, Spearhead from space, afternoon in the park, and then the web. And he goes on to say the web is a fantastic episode on so many levels. I have to say to you, Stephen, I agree. I have really enjoyed this episode since that original night back in 1978, where I just thought this was a cracking adventure. I'm watching it at this age now today with the awesome new effects on the Blu-ray. I still think it. So come on then, if you're hard enough, come and get me.
I agree with you, JT. I'm not going to argue.
It's a very creepy episode, isn't it? Some really creepy elements. The Michael Bryan, I like little toy type creatures is really creepy, don't you think? The head.
That's what got me when I was younger. It's. I know Richard doesn't like the voices, but when I was younger, I thought that's a bit weird. That's a bit creepy. And then you contrast the height and childlike manner of them. And at the end of the episode, they're ripping apart their enemies with the skulls and their hair and a bit of blood around, and it's like, whoa.
And then one of them does a really good left hook on the actual skull and really kicks into the back of the neck.
Yeah.
I love that as a boy. I love that as an 8-year-old. I was just like, yeah, this is absolutely brilliant to kick this corpse around. Isn't that terrible, everybody?
I like the opening scene. I like the opening scene where, when they go to the planet, and it just reminded me of Lord of the Rings meets Hawk the Slayer, the way it was filmed.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Just needed an archer.
Okay, I've never thought that, but I thought it was very much a very typical Doctor Who style opening, to be quite honest, and that's probably what brought me in to that particular episode.
You probably need to watch Hawk the Slayer, Justin.
I'll make a note, Joe. There we go.
I haven't watched that film, but I've got it on Blu-ray. It's on the shelf waiting to be watched.
I've got it on DVD, not Blu-ray.
That's probably the best format for it. The Decimas, says Stephen Braddock, were really creepy with that shrieking, like horrifying little children. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's the bit that really grated on me. I mean, I've just watched the episode today, and I'm just like, that bit when they're just screaming. I'm like, oh, turn it down, turn it down, turn it down.
Although I quite like the bit when I was quite sad when they were trying to remove the dead one. That was quite sad, wasn't it? When the one that was crying, that was quite moving, really.
Yeah, really, because there's that particular point there where you suddenly realise that these aren't monsters, or certainly from an 8-year-old's point of view. Because immediately you think, oh, they're the monsters, and it turns out that they're not really. It's the other way around. I mean, this is another Terry Nation brilliant script. From the moment that you realise the Liberator is in trouble. I love it. I just love that setup. You've got the introduction with that horrible face through the cardboard.
Having said that image though, I read about the same sort of time. I'm sure the two Ronnies did some dolls dancing with big heads. Remember that? Remember that? And it was a bit like that. So it reminds me of that a little bit, which is, I'm not mean to, but that just comes into my head when I watch this particular episode.
But you know what? That little thing, again, it actually quite scared me as a boy. The body's just hanging there.
But the thing about it is, JT, like I said before, we were chatting about it. It's just like as a Doctor Who. Well, it's not Doctor Who, but with Doctor Who, you always used to get a little bit of a glimpse of something, and then it used to build and build and build. And the last two episodes, the grand reveal. But this just shows you the creature from less than a couple of minutes into the actual episode, and I thought, oh, that would have been better if they just left it and just wait till the end, and then the curtain is revealed and you've got the creepy look there.
I'm not sure. I think it might have been another Moloch.
Yeah.
That's a good point as well, actually. Yeah,
they weren't terribly good at making it, and it was creepy. But I have to say, looking back at it now, I think, I don't know if it was that scary.
I love what you find out about it today. You can hear the tank.
Bubbling away.
I love that now, because it reminds me of a friend's fish tank that used to have in the 80s, everybody, with that annoying bubble, because that's all gone now. Of course.
It makes you want to go to the bathroom. That's the problem, though.
You had to put it on pause, did you, Paul? Hey, breaking news, then, everybody. Breaking news.
At the time, tropical fish, and it's the same size.
Oh, really? Crikey. the things, eh? Mark McIntosh is with us, and he is saying, hello. According to the production diary book, the Decimas were designed by Barbara Lane and made especially for the episode. Well, there we go.
There we go. I should know that. I've got that book.
Yeah, I had that book once upon a time, but I don't have it anymore. I've lost it somewhere in round and about. I tell you what, I do still have. I have to show you here. I have my original program guide book, but it's well battered and bruised, being looked at far too much and read. Terrible. You got that one as well. It's a great book. All those years ago. What else we got? Oh, Stephen, stop this. He's saying reminded me of Mr. Grace dancing with his head through a board on a little puppet on legs.
Actually, I can tell you a bit about, because obviously the new DVD with the new extras extra. One YouTuber wasn't impressed that we hadn't updated it, the effect. And I talked to Chris about this, and Chris literally said to me that he was not asked to alter the effect at all. Okay. So, but the thing about it is, the problem with something like that is it's a tracking shot. So to actually totally replace it and actually track it and get the lighting right and everything is a lot of work. So I think that was just put on the back burner.
I don't think it's worth actually changing.
No.
It is what it is of its time. It might not have done the trick for Jodie, but it certainly did the trick for me as an 8-year-old. I'm sure there would be 7 or 8-year-olds on there who, if they were lucky enough to find Blake 7 somewhere, would get the chills.
I think it's more disturbing than scary, I think, don't you? It's quite just it's odd-looking, creepy thing. Yeah. And it's more kind of disturbing rather than actually out-and-out scary.
It's very, to be fair, it's very reminiscent of Hammer horror.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and why not? You know, why not? I mean,
let's be honest, Hammer horror I used to stay up and get scared at, but it wasn't like horrifically scary.
Yeah, I watched the double bills as well, Jodie. The double bills, remember them? Yeah.
But that was the whole element of British television at the time here, and British science fiction. That's what happened, isn't it? You can see it in the 2 big shows of the time, Doctor Who, Blake 7. You can see it influencing some of the other ITV shows, you know, all that sort of stuff. That's how we did things, wasn't it? It was done with tongue in cheek. Really. And certainly this little character is. I love the whole thing about this as well. Bear in mind, this is only Callie's 2nd episode. No, you don't know her. So, you know, and it was the week after. And I think this is what really set me off on this episode for the whole of the next couple of years of really not trusting Callie 100%.
It was nice to continue that and from last week to this week. Yeah. Because you still don't know, do you? That's the thing. Yeah. And she plays Strange so well. We said that last time, didn't we? She plays it really, really well. Yeah.
And also the lack of trust from Jenna. That was great. You see, they wouldn't do that now because they would have the woman being womanly and lovely to her despite everything. But I actually thought that played it far, far better because surely for Jenna to have survived in this world the way she did, she would have to be quite a lot more suspicious than it would be played now.
Did you notice how Avon was a bit when she wanted to know bits and bobs at the start of the episode how things worked and stuff? He was like, "Okay, yeah, fine." And he was like, I don't know how to take you. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, okay. And you don't know if he's like noticing, oh, actually, I quite like you, or I'm not quite sure about you.
Yeah.
I felt sorry for Gan this week. He was almost locked in a cupboard for the episode, wasn't he?
That's Gan's role.
Yeah, that is his role, isn't it? Were you going to say something, Lex?
Yeah, 2 things. The one with Gan, you look like he was wearing 3D glasses for the next episode.
Yeah.
He was watching the next episode.
And is that what that was?
And the one with Callie, where it was a good scene with her hand being burnt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And she didn't feel the pain because she wanted the influence, wasn't she? Yeah.
Well, that makeup as well is. I hadn't realised until I watched it on the Blu-ray, and it's crystal clear how gruesome it is.
Oh yeah.
I'd always missed that on the DVD for some bizarre reason. I'm not sure why, and I certainly missed it on the VHS when I had them. But it's really good, isn't it? It's a real proper piece of that makeup. Very good makeup. That's what the BBC used to do. Everybody, they were top of their game back then. I tell you, all in house. It was a stroke of genius, says Stephen, to introduce Callie, then show her as a saboteur the very next week.
Yeah.
I think you're right. And our John is saying to us, John Chappell brilliantly played Callie as an alien. Recent doctors should take note.
I don't know what they mean.
But no, we said this on the last show, didn't she? She plays Alien brilliantly. She got Callie from that moment, and she's just out there. But the bit where you're talking about, Joe, where Jenna comes down those steps, because this in the future they're still being very British, very gentlemanly. Don't do that. It's a woman that hits a woman. That's absolutely fine. And then Callie's telepathic ability goes, "Thank you, Jenna." What?
She didn't even go ouch telepathically, did she? Let's be honest.
Oh no, but laughing aside, it's a cracking script. I love the scene at the beginning. We're still getting to know the Liberator, all four sets of it. We're still looking at this. We're still getting to know that. We're still getting to know the crew because it's only episode 5.
Yep.
And I love the way that they are at this point with Zen, totally out of their element.
Oh yeah.
Although I love that bit when they're having trouble with the systems and Avon decides to try and fix it by blowing it up and then it repairs itself. That was a lovely moment. I like that.
Yeah, that's a great moment. That it shows you how brilliant Terry Mason was thinking about the ship.
Yeah.
But then you've got a situation where Avon's saying that when they're talking about the ship, and then if we didn't have Blake, we could sell this technology to Gans. And then the next minute, you've got a situation where the bomb's going to explode. He walks in the door as Blake's trying to defuse the bomb. And then he grabs hold of Blake and pulls him out of the way. You think, he just let him die. But no, this is this bond between Blake and Avon.
Yeah. And we only started touching on that in the last review, didn't we, for episode 4?
Yeah.
It's there. Because later on is that wonderful scene where Blake is genuinely, my friend is out there. And I mean, it's wonderful what's going on with these two. But Avon's always at it, isn't it? Things will change. All these little elements here. He knows. It's as though he's getting a foreshadowing that something may happen. Blake actually sort of agrees with him, but they need each other, and I think it's beautiful the way these two.
It's quite Shakespearean the way those characters are portrayed.
Yeah, and Avon's got to always be the sort of. I almost see him as like the British element of this series because he always sort of has the dark side to share. Blake's all like, "We'll win, we'll do it all," and he's like, "Yeah, right, okay." Not like.
Do you feel he's the voice of reason, Avon, in the show? It's like you've got Blake who wants to do these great things, and then Avon's just there going, "That's going to fail. You shouldn't really do that," and then it fails and goes, "Told you so."
Yeah, that's why he's so brilliant, though, isn't he? And how Paul plays him, Mr. Darrow plays him as well.
Yeah,
just so cool.
He's the voice of reason.
Yeah, so cool, logical, because of course he's a computer guy as well. There's the link there. But that scene that you're talking about, Paul, I remember being as a kid fascinated by this. And the actual thing that went through my head, and I remember it, who views to this day, the Liberator regenerates.
Yeah.
And I thought that was genius.
Yeah.
That's science fiction, by the way, viewers.
It's such a mysterious, creepy ship, isn't it? That's the thing. You never know what's going to happen, and that uncertainty is really, really intriguing, don't you think? Because anything could happen on the ship. They don't know what's going on. They don't know how to control it properly yet. They don't fully understand it. And Zen's always kind of going against things they do as well so far anyway, and it's kind of interesting to see where that may develop in terms of how they control the ship.
It's kind of what makes it the best science fiction ship for me, because it actually had a personality and it had life, and all the other ships in sci-fi, almost all of them, don't. They're just a ship. They're controlled by the captain or whoever's leading it or whatever. And I just felt Liberator had so much more depth than that, and it was so much more interesting as a result.
Oh, totally.
In its own right, in one way.
Say that again, Ant?
It's a character in its own right.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
It's one of the 7, isn't it? It's one of Blake's 7.
Yeah.
You're going to include the computer. What is this? Oh, yeah.
It lives through Zen.
That's it.
Yeah. But I think what you guys are saying that is absolutely right. I mean, I was always a little bit sort of spooked by the Liberator. It didn't help that the set is black. which probably wouldn't happen today. They would probably have it gleaming white or an off-white and glass and all this sort of stuff around when it's moved with the times, as it were. Thank God it's not happening, everybody. But it was, and the angles and the music. You know, in this bit we get the same set as we had in one of the early episodes with the hangar, but then they've added that tunnel thing onto the camera, so it looks slightly different. But I just felt that's worrying, because something in there.
Yeah. Although there was a bit that made me laugh, and I think they were chasing Callie around the same bit of the set. That was way Doctor Who, that bit. You know, they're running around the same bit.
What we're going to do now? Run down some corridors and then back again.
Come back again. Yes.
Back again.
Yeah. It's just a shame that back in the day it all sounded like under those big platform boots would, because it was. It's a shame that, isn't it? It does remind me in bits though, because you can actually start on the Blu-ray now. You can actually see bits of it getting a little bit tatty already, as the eager stagehands have been shifting it in and out of Studio One or whatever. And there's little bits
smashing it up in the process as well.
Yeah. It does remind me of the old rehearsal rooms back in the day, where you just had the black rehearsal room and a black stage, and it was all wood. You know, just bless.
Is it on the documentary that Roger Murray Leach is saying that the stage crew keep kicking it and dropping it deliberately because they hated it? I think that's a wonderful story.
Oh, really?
Allegedly, but that's what he did. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's awful. You naughty stagehands, you. They get up to all sorts. Honestly, yeah. I want to mention something else as well, because I love this, and of course we have to mention that this episode has the wonderful Miles Fothergill in this, and this is the first time. Now, for years, everybody, as a boy, where's that voice from? Where's that voice from? And of course, it was, from Doctor Who. Because there he is in Blake 7, looking very much like Data from Star Trek.
Wow.
Yeah. It is, of course, SV7 from the classic Doctor Who episode, The Robots of Death. And that voice, it's just, it was just amazing. And here he is, everybody. That's what he looks like. I like the fact that the hair is very similar.
Yeah. Mike O'Brien had a bit of a rep company, didn't he, when he cast some of his programs? He used a lot of the same actors again and again, which is lovely.
Yeah. Do you not think he looks like Brent Spiner there from the early days of Next Gen?
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
The look of Data, isn't he?
I think that's where they got it from.
Wouldn't surprise me, though. Wouldn't surprise me, actually.
Great performance as well.
Oh, yeah.
Performance.
It's very cool.
Those two actors made the story in some regards, because they were so on it, you know, so calm and yet
they seemed so otherworldly. So well done. And you know, nowadays I think it'd be overplayed. They really nailed it.
Oh,
very believable, weren't they, as well? Playing aliens, they were very good.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't show any emotion. It's like they just talked about the Decimas and oh yeah, we created them. Oh yeah, we made them. Oh, then they've got emotions. We're not quite sure about that. How pitiful. And then just comes out with the next line. Oh, and we were created as well. Like it's just a throwaway line. They accept it. That's fine. What? You were made as well? Yeah, of course we are.
Yeah, you see, I don't remember that from back in the day. I just remember them not trusting this head in the cardboard and his minions. You know, I'm a Doctor Who fan, everybody. That wasn't to be trusted. And it was only in the 90s when the VHS came out and I saw it again. That's when I suddenly went, oh, hang on a minute. How come that was a revelation? It was like discovering another part of the story several years later, if you know what I mean. And it was magical, because I just went, I'd missed that as an 8-year-old. That's actually not nice. That's horrific.
Yeah.
And that's the brilliant thing about Terry Nation, wasn't it? He was taking these elements and putting them in. Absolutely fantastic.
Very Frankenstein, isn't it, as well? The way it's done.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, it is actually. Yeah, it is. I hadn't thought about it that way. But even watching it recently, you look at that and you just go, ugh. Because, you know, things happen in reality now, don't they?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? We've got Graham joining us in the chat. Hi, Graham. I have very few memories of Blake 7, but I do have a clear one of the Decimas and being scared of them. And the dog as well. There we go. And Gary Bryan saying,
everyone's a critic.
Everyone's a critic. Yeah. And Blake is like Josie Wales, who collected a surrogate family and was an outlaw. I wonder if that film was seen by Terry Nation when it was in cinemas during pre-production of the show, says Gary Bryant. I don't know. I mean,
Wells was mid-70s, so preceded Blake 7 by 2 to 3 years.
Oh, you would think Nation would have had it sort of in his head before that, then, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you,
Is someone
really?
suggesting Town Nation plagiarised something? Surely not.
He was known for it, Gary, wasn't he? Let's face it. You
I
know,
can't think where we get this one from, though. I think the web's pretty unique.
I think it's very. I don't know if this is going to make sense. I think this is very Blake 7.
Yeah.
This episode, you know, it's the format that is tried again successfully later on in this series and series 2 and even 3. Actually, thinking about it, you've got the sort of science laboratory. You've got the people in the laboratory doing whatever they need to, whether it be good or bad. I put that format down to the web, if that makes sense, you know, because this is the one where that sort of thing comes in properly, and it's a template that is reused, as I say, well, though, you know.
He also played with moral themes a lot, but did it in such a way that it wasn't telling you what they were. Sorry.
That's
you were
true,
left
isn't it?
to come to your own conclusions about the Decimas and what was being done there. I mean, Blake projected a certain attitude and Avon projected a certain other attitude, and they did have tussles about it, but in my opinion, it wasn't like you weren't lectured to.
No,
No,
you're right. Yeah, you come to your conclusion.
Yeah, the assumption was that the viewing public had enough intelligence to make their own decisions about what happened in the program. And actually, you would spoil the story by not allowing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Adrian is with us. Hi, Adrian. How are you, mate? That character in the water tank is quite scary too. That's what I was saying. This lot think I'm weird. They said no, it's not scary. I think
it is reminiscent of the Guardian and Connie in space. You know, the
of course it is.
Yes.
Of course it is. Yeah,
I was
that's
thinking
right.
that. I was thinking that when I was watching it.
Yeah, well, it is. You know, I still thought it was freaky. And I think also at the time, of course, we wouldn't have noticed the bubble sound I mentioned earlier in the studio. Oh. But I that must have added to the atmosphere. Plus the traditional BBC, it's science fiction. Let's color everything in a red light. You know, that helps. You know, you can't.
It was kind of ripped off later as the face of Bull, was it not?
I suppose it was. Yeah.
I think he's probably copied that from Blake 7.
I think so.
Are you not saying Russell T Davies has plagiarised something as well? What's going on?
Yeah.
What is it?
I said that last night, didn't I?
I thought Russell T Davies created all these things originally, and
from scratch. Yes,
nothing's original these days. I tell you, they all go back to the 70s and the 80s. I tell you, Carwin, hello, mate. Is the web the one where Blake is attacked by vegetable zygons? It is. It is. One of my favourite stories coming off the brand new Blu-ray is, of course, when they talk about how they tried to get Black Heath in London looking like an alien jungle by taking all that sort of candy floss web type stuff and just throwing it everywhere. I thought that was a brilliant story. That good for them, I say. At least they tried.
Worked for me.
And then kept on going all their balls from the prisoner that they've not used, and just put them around as well.
Yeah. It's about vivisection and animal experiments, and it's morality, says Gary Bryant. Yeah, it is. But as Jodie's saying, the brilliant thing, Gary, isn't it, is that you decide as the viewer, because they
where the line lies.
Yeah. And again, that's what I mean about it being very Blake 7. Any other sci-fi, including Doctor Who, would have tried to explain and had a resolution. And here they just teleport off.
But again, you get two sides of it, from Blake's point of view and the alien, so you do get two sides of it, which works really well. You know?
Yeah. Let's do a quick poll then. Who's on the alien side or who's on the Decimas side?
Decimas.
Yeah, Decimas as well. Yeah.
Me too.
Even though they broke up all the science equipment, which upset me greatly.
Even when they had scary eyes, I'm with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Andy, what about you?
I'd go with the Decimas, but I remember watching it as a kid, and I was wanting the aliens to win because I wanted that storyline to continue.
Oh, okay.
I can understand that.
Yeah, you could easily do a sequel to that, couldn't you?
Yeah, I thought, how stupid, you've let the back door open. Yeah.
What about you then, Richard? What about you, Decimas or the?
I'd have to say, if it's just that screaming that drives me wild.
You're finding to wake them out, as long as you shut them up. That's the thing.
I'd have to say the Decimas because of their footballing skills, kicking skulls. But yeah, it's that screaming that rided me. It really did. But no, the story I think is brilliant. Terra Nation at his best, and not you've got the vivisection and all this. Like, what if you create an animal? Does it have rights? You know, is it allowed to live? Does it have all this kind of stuff? But it done in such a way, it's subtle. It's just nicely written in. It's not forced in. Yeah. It's a cracking story. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. He leaves it with shades of grey, which life is.
Yeah.
And I think everybody wants to have everything black and white these days, and life's not like that.
No, everybody needs everything explained to them. Everybody is literal. You know, apart from our generations who are old.
There isn't a side that's good and a side that's bad. There is almost every colour in between.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is where we were at back then, of course. With a nation shows where we were as a society. There it is. That's how we worked. That's how we rolled. And it was. And this. Don't forget, this was Monday night, 7 o'clock. Everyone, you know, on BBC One. What we got here is what Graham is saying. Yes, it was the screaming that unnerved me as a boy. I know. William's with us. Hello, William Morlock, 86. How are you, pal? First episode I watched. A brilliant series. First cousin of Doctor Who, an ancestor of Lex, Farscape, etc. Deep Roy, Mr. Sin, as Decima, and Miles Fothergill, SV7, as Navara. Yeah. A lovely cast, actually, when you think about it as well. But it's the regulars that make it for me. As well, I'm still going to say I love Miles Fothergill. It's great to see him in this. But it's the regulars that make this. It's so nice, actually, isn't it? You get your guest artists in, but it's always about the regulars. You know, and I think that's wonderful because they're developing episode 5, another person on board with them. This is it now. This is them going towards the end of the series. And here they're developing again. And I love the way they're being written, and I love the way that the cast are playing. I really enjoy watching this lot together.
And the days, it just shows you that in those days they could write characters really, really well, and they could expand upon them. But nowadays, almost every character is almost like a cardboard cutout.
Yeah. Nowadays it's political messaging, and not just in Doctor Who, but perhaps other stuff. So that gets in the way of characterization.
And everybody didn't have to be squeaky clean and fabulous. People really had shade. They had a properly drawn character who behaved in a certain way, sometimes not always showing them in the best of light.
Yeah, they had flaws. That's the thing.
Yes, and I like that because I don't like this idea that people can't be likable if they have flaws, because everybody has flaws.
Yeah.
I think it's more realistic.
Yeah, no, it's perfect.
Realistic. Yeah. We are dealing with a group of mainly human beings here who are criminals in a nice way, and it shows them that they have flaws. And by this point, though, you forget that these people are on the run, and they are the T word, which we can never say, but they are, you know. And space pirates are not nice people. I just love where this is going. And this episode for me, I just remember vividly as a boy just thinking, this is brilliant. I love this. And that's where I was really into Blake 7, this particular episode. Mark Greaves is saying to us he would support the aliens. There you go. And Stephen Braddock, when the Decimas have torn the aliens apart and are trashing the place, Avon says, this is what you wanted to save. Blake says they have as much right to live and survive. Again, as Jodie was saying there, it's the two sides of the coin there, because Blake and Avon will never really agree on anything.
No.
Right to their dying day. Really, when you think about it. Chalk and cheese. And that's why it works.
Yeah. They're like brothers, aren't they? They disagree and agree on things, and they fall out and agree on things. That's where they are, Avon and Blake.
Yeah. And one can't function without the other at this particular point.
Correct. That's very true. Very true.
I'm just Gareth and Paul's performance.
And Avon constantly talks about betraying Blake or heading off himself. That is a theme that reoccurs frequently. But in reality, whenever he gets the chance, you can see he has like a almost not quite a hero worship of him, but he certainly admires him, even though he doesn't agree with him.
Yeah.
Well, it plays in this particular point, isn't it, really? Because Blake won't take his nonsense. That bit at the beginning where he calls him and says, Avon, I need you here. Just get here. And Avon's like, oh, all right. You know, grudgingly, okay, it might take a little while because he's proving his point like a spoiled child, but he's going and he knows he's going. Our leader, you know, isn't very happy or whatever it was. You know, it's just, it's brilliantly played, isn't it? And lovely writing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really is.
Yeah,
Got an interesting point in the chat from Gary Bryant, guys. Callie was abused too by the entity. She was an emotional sponge, and that was interesting because she was supposedly the alien. It again, all those years ago, this was a scary thing because you thought I was coming off the back of Doctor Who, not really aware of all the science fiction stuff. I mean, Doctor Who, everything was cozy, if you like. This wasn't. This is different. This is dealing with a different sort of science fiction.
Yeah.
So to know that they weren't going to necessarily be nice to each other all the time was a culture shock for me at that point. But the Callie storyline, the Lost, that's brilliant.
Yeah, the Lost. Yeah. Because that's what she thinks they are. That's what, because she wants to go down to the planet with Blake, and Blake's going, no. They easily control you. I can't trust. I can trust you, but I can't trust them controlling you again and doing something. So,
but that's interesting that Callie's race had people who were prepared, to do immoral things. That's why they went to that planet, because that wasn't tolerated on Aura. That's how I interpreted that. Which is, I know even Callie's race, there's shades of grey and what people are prepared to do.
Yeah, but the other thing about this as well, in her second episode, it shows you that Callie can be vulnerable as well, where you would think some sort of alien cannot be, a la the Superman route. But here you've got Callie, and because of her telepathic ability, she can be controlled. That's a worry when you think about it out there somewhere. That's a worry.
Well, spoilers, it does kind of reoccur occasionally.
It does. And wow, when that happens, if you haven't seen it yet, I hope you've got the Blu-ray. Keep looking at it because it's come through. Stephen's saying, I love the eerie scene where the entity spoke through Jenna. That was scary and off kilter.
Scary voice, it was a bit like that.
And she was trying to fight the entity, trying to control her when she was trying to control the ship.
Wow. It's a really hard thing to play as an actor, but she did it really well. It's quite something that can be bordering on being silly, but she did it really well, I think.
You could see her trying with her eyes to make it convincing.
I think she did, because I look at that bit there where Sally is playing it at the very beginning before the voice. She's terrified.
And
she's playing terrified, and then suddenly her body structure changes and her face relaxes because the thing's taken over her completely.
Over control.
And that's what you would do, isn't it? If something like that was happening and you were aware of it, you would be terrified.
You would freak out.
It felt like, to me, like Alfred Hitchcock sometimes, the writing, very like a thriller.
Oh, right. Yeah. It's a good way to look at the web, isn't it? Like a sort of on the way to a thriller, but because it's 7 o'clock on BBC One on a Monday night, it's not going to be the full thing, is it? Yeah. But it's certainly a cracking one at this particular point in the series. Only the 5th episode on the first series, and we get this, which is just brilliant. Carbon, hello, Carbon. I like the relationship between Avon and Blake because when Avon saves Blake, there's a moment when you're not sure if he will or not. It's great drama that they didn't have to push it in. It made them. Yeah. There's so much to talk about as we get through series 1 and 2 between Blake and Avon, because it's unusual for television because it does mature.
It does indeed. It does indeed.
Yeah. And it's not a spoiler really to say that in the last 2 series, Avon spends most of the bloody time trying to find the guy.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I didn't know at the time, but in hindsight, you go, "Oh my God, he's worried about where his power is."
He still needs him. Yeah, I know. Like I say, obviously, he takes control of the new ship and the old ship, but at the end of the day, he needs Blake. He needs it. They need to be together.
Yeah. At this point, he doesn't believe it, but later on, as the series progresses, he comes to realise, He's not in Ireland. He's not his own man. He needs someone that plays.
Yeah. Paul's joined us. Hello, Paul Richards. He's joined us with Shock Eye there as the avatar. Fabulous. He sent us a few comments here, guys. Hello, everyone. Hello to you. I always love the web. The plot about genetic engineering is very relevant. But back then it was science fiction, and now look at it. That's the scary things. A lot of science fiction has become science fact, hasn't it, Jode? It's really scary.
Very much so.
I sometimes find it quite horrific, actually.
I mean, he's very interesting, and that Terry Nation very much sees science as a power for good, but he also shows you the flip side, where somebody has too much power and can use it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Lots of that coming up in Blake 7. Paul's also saying to us, I love the line, all I said was, what do you think of the outfit?
Oh, yeah.
Villa's only starting to be developed, I feel, at this stage. I mean, he ends up being such a fantastic character. And
Villa's
in
my
these
favorite
early days,
character.
Yeah, you can see glimmers of it in these days, but it doesn't really come through till a bit later.
Yes, when only when Villa starts to take center stage, really. I think towards the end of 3 and end of 2, and definitely in 3.
Yeah. I love Villa.
All that to come. In this one, though, he's like Gan, though. He's very much in the background again. On this one. But then again, he did in the last one get a little shiny moment in episode 4. So they're juggling them, I guess.
He had the comical line in the episode, didn't he, about the bomb?
I think, to be honest, on a really basic note, they found 6 people quite hard to write for. And
of course. Yeah.
That's why they eventually reduced it to 5. And I think I can see why. Yeah,
I can see why. I mean, it's got to be manageable, isn't it? You know, when you've got this many at the moment. I mean, this is why we know, spoiler alert, Gan has to go, because they've already made the decision by now, haven't they? Oh, this isn't happening. This isn't working properly. And Paul Richards is also saying to us, I love the new effects on the web. They are stunning, aren't they, Paul? Absolutely fantastic. The Liberator looks brilliant. So good. Absolutely beautiful in the,
and it doesn't jar one bit. It just blends in really nicely.
It's lovely. Yeah.
It is. I mean, I've watched the new version now several times rather than the original, just because of those beautiful effects. It's just wow. It just blows me away. Absolutely wonderful. Happy days.
The map effects look really good as well. Outline the map where they're gonna go and that. And the Federation ships coming. That's good CGI as well. That was fantastic.
Yeah. Not CGI.
It's not CGI.
No, they're all models.
Wow.
Yeah.
I built it.
Yeah. Wow.
I built the pursuit ship.
We'll have to get some pictures on the next one as well, so we can show. We've shown it before, but we'll show them again. It's nearly time that we did it again. Our John is saying Avon is the anti-hero to Blake as a hero. It's what makes the series so complex and rewarding. Oh, well said.
Yeah.
Well said. Brilliant. Oh, I wish I'd said that, Art John. That's brilliant. William Orlock is also saying that they have those visor devices anticipating today's iPod players in this series. Yeah, because at this point, the Walkmans had only just started to appear. Remember the Sony Walkmans? They were only, they were bigger than what they were, and they were so expensive. I mean, I didn't get my first Sony Walkman until at least 81, 82.
Yeah, was Gam playing Super Mario or something? Was he?
He's watching the next episode of Like.
But that was quite a big stretch thinking about virtual reality.
Yeah.
That's a huge stretch for that era.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, I didn't come across that till Red Dwarf 10 years later.
He's watching Like 7 and IMAX.
With Terry Nation, isn't it? Really? So he was going to throw anything out there that was just pure fiction. He was, genius. He was. He was. Guy. And we've also got this from Mark McIntosh. It's another great idea and storyline from Terry Nation, but Chris Boucher's input to the dialogue should be given lots of credit too. Yeah, let's give it up for Chris, a favourite of ours on Who's Views.
Yeah,
totally wonderful.
Yeah,
really.
totally supported Chris Boucher's work. Brilliant.
I would love to see an original draft of a script before Chris had changed or adapted bits of it. It would be interesting to see.
I remember Uncle Terry, God love him, Terence Dix, at a Doctor Who convention years after Mr. Nation had passed away. addressing that subject, and he would say he would just get it, and then have to actually go back to Terry and say, "Well, this has to," because it was basically a very basic. He turns left. He looks up. You know, very sort of stage.
He goes into a white room. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So it was basically an old style television script based on their experiences, I guess, in theatre. Yeah. But it would drive Uncle Terry mad.
Michael Lee Bryant makes the same point on the major documentary on the Blu-ray. He says Terry never actually physically went to that many meetings in person. I think he says he never met him, but his scripts would turn up and they'd need fleshing out. And Chris Boucher worked overtime to get them all up to and put detail into them.
So he had the same
Terry
experience.
was a great ideas man.
Yeah.
13 episodes for that first season was a bit of a slog for him.
Yeah.
I love that story when he wrote Master Plan or parts of Master Plan, that he turned up at Donald Tosh's door with 6 scripts, put them through a letterbox and said, "Bye, I'm off to America," and went to the airport.
I wish we'd been able to meet him, because he sounds like a real character, doesn't he, Terry Nation? But I would spend most of the time wanting to know more a bit about Blake 7 possibly than the Daleks.
Yes, definitely.
Because there's a lot of mystery over the full series of this show, isn't there? Really, that we don't know. Really, I mean, a lot of you who are diehard Blake 7 fans may know the answers, and we go through these stories and these questions come up. You might be able to answer us. There's a hell of a lot of mystery around it for me. Just think, hang on a minute, how did that work, and how's he done this, and where eventually did he decide to really, I've had enough, I'm getting off? You know, what went on with that, and where did that inspiration come from? I'd love to know where the inspiration for this came from.
He always used to say Dirty Dozen in space in his interviews.
Yeah, he did.
And a pitch idea, I think.
When he was writing this, does anyone know, was he kind of going back and forward to America? Because he was writing a lot of American television, sort of late 70s, early 80s, wasn't he, as well? Like, he got to do MacGyver and stuff like that, didn't he? So
he did.
Did he was he doing work at that point in the States when he was doing this?
I've no idea.
I think he'd come back to the UK for a few years because he'd just written Survivors.
Right, yeah.
So I think he was back in the UK after he did several things in America, then he came back to the UK, and I think he went back to America.
Was that the time when he was trying to make the Dalek series happen as well?
The late 60s, they were trying to push the Daleks further.
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't actually try and push this more with the BBC for America. Because Blake 7 should have been a massive hit in Blake 7. I reckon this show should have been a massive hit back in the day in America.
Yeah.
Because there was a massive Star Trek.
The problem is, though, America does everything, and it's like, they're like, oh, it's all wonderful, and we're fab, and we'll save the day, and that wasn't Blake 7. Blake 7 inevitably ended up with things going tits up, really.
It did, it really did.
Is that a technical term?
I don't think that is the American psyche. Maybe there's a section of the American psyche like that now, but it certainly wasn't the American psyche. I mean, when you think back, I mean, I actually was fortunate enough. My aunt lived in America in the 70s. So I was fortunate enough to visit it twice. I was very young, 74, 75. And America was like this place where you could get amazing things that you couldn't get here. We were very backward by comparison and quite limited in what you could access, and even television was amazing over there because I had so many channels, and we had like 3 and then we had 4, and it's very difficult, I think, for people to imagine what the two countries were like in those days. And it's interesting because I then visited America again, I think it was 86 or 87, and it totally changed. We were not behind anymore. We were accessing the same stuff, and there's sort of been a leveling up, if that makes sense. And Britain was not this backward country that, you couldn't get things and you couldn't access stuff. And we had, I think by 97, 4 channels. You know, but apart from that, and to be perfectly honest, American television is absolutely the most dire thing I've ever watched in my whole entire life. I mean, it's literally like, oh, the TV, the program started. Oh, there's adverts.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's only the titles.
I know, yeah.
It's only the titles. There's adverts.
It's like cable channels now. They're exactly like that.
They are like that now.
2 minutes of program, then all adverts for 10 minutes.
Just-
I have to say, to all our American Who viewers that are tuning in, and when you tune in and watch this, you will love Blake 7 because things have changed since obviously the point that we're talking about when it was in the 70s and 80s, because they had all these things coming up where the darker side, if you like, of things going wrong constantly. I can't remember, but I didn't watch a lot of things, but Farscape, I believe, was a bit like that. And
Firefly.
Firefly, sorry, that's the one.
Firefly, yeah, definitely.
And then you've got certain aspects, of course, Star Trek.
Yeah, there are things more now that are like what Blake 7 was creating back then. But at that time, that wasn't the way America was, I don't feel. So I don't think it would have landed well at all.
No, they wouldn't have liked the tone. They wouldn't have understood it, or they wouldn't have liked it. Have you noticed with the Star Trek logo, you've got this sort of curved rocket design as the base for their logo. You turn it 90 degrees.
Yeah, Blake 7.
Yeah.
Well, it was Nick from Death of the Daleks, so wasn't it? That's where it came from. So he plagiarized himself on that one. So
I sometimes, but that's one of the questions I would ask people if they were still around. Was that intentional? Did you do that deliberately? You know, I would love to know. I would love to know. Sheila B's with us. Sheila B in the devotion saying, "I call my motorized wheelchair the Liberator." Good for you. I love that.
It's not quite the same. I call my Kindle Avon.
Strange.
I know.
William Orlock is saying, I heard Terry had seen Star Wars stateside and decided to do the British equivalent, Robin Hood, as much as an influence for the basic plot line. And Mark is saying the BBC always tried desperately to get co-funding for this series, but it all fell through. Wow, I never knew that one either. That would have been interesting.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that. It is in the production diaries book at the sort of introduction to the book that was mentioned.
I often think though that in a way we kind of lucked out because everything always fell through with BBC and ITV before they always wanted to make more series of things, but they always collapsed just before they could. So we need to be thankful because, you know, it could have turned into Lost, or it could have turned into endless series of nonsense, which it never did because things finished. And much as I would have loved to have seen more Blake 7, part of me is like, well, maybe it would have just gone to pot. Now, I know some folk think Series D wasn't great, but I actually loved Series D. So
it's a totally different show to where we are with the Red, though, isn't it? Totally different.
It is a different show.
Yeah.
But I mean, I hate the shit, but that's another thing entirely. But
she never liked the Scorpio. Oh, John is saying it is difficult to see Blake 7 working in the US because it is the exact opposite of Star Trek.
Yeah.
Harry Bryant is saying to us, Avon is Sherlock Holmes, cold, logical, and callous at times. Blake is Watson, more emotional and hot-headed, with Villa as Raffles, but pretending to be an idiot coward to protect himself. That is very good. Well done. John is also saying Jodie is correct. Firefly is clearly derived from Blake 7. Is that the one with the Muppets in it?
No, that's Farscape.
That's Farscape you're thinking of.
Farscape was Australian, but it was American funded.
I was working and having fun in the 90s. I didn't get a chance to see any of these TV shows.
Talking of raffles, if you've not seen the Anti-Valentine Raffles series, it's superb. ITV.
I've never seen it, Paul.
Anyone? No? Okay.
Sorry. I was aware you did it, but I never watched it.
Yeah, it's a great series. You can get it from Network or probably somewhere on eBay somewhere. It's really good. Really good series.
Well, my friend got me to watch Firefly, and she is good. It's excellent. But to me, it's not Blake 7. But that's just, you know, Blake 7 is so special to me. It's a bit of an obsession.
I found the movie better than the TV series.
Oh, hang on. Go, Lex. Say what you're saying.
I found the movie for Firefly was better than the TV series.
There you go. And
Serenity was good,
as well?
Yeah, it sounds like Firefly is highly recommended. I'm just wondering if it's available to stream anywhere.
I definitely saw it streamed. Can't think what it was.
I think it was Netflix or I'm not too sure. I think maybe Netflix.
Let's get back to Blake 7. Let's get back to Blake 7. Don't do your homework on that one because we got this from Adrian, which concerns me. There was a spacecraft in Babylon 5, another series I never saw really, that looks like the Liberator. Well, that's a bit naughty.
Yes,
that's very naughty.
Crusade, it was.
That's very naughty.
The spin-off.
How dare they? But it shows you that Blake 7 did have a little influence with people that were watching science fiction, maybe.
They also did the conventions together for a while.
Did they?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there we go. Thanks for all your comments in the chat. It's good to see you all. But thank you. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. What else stands out to you, either from when you saw it originally or looking at it now from this wonderful episode of Blake 7 with the web?
Was this the first episode where there was no real involvement in the Federation at all?
Apart from the mention of the pursuit ships.
Yeah, right at the end.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't poor for it. It was a good sort of different episode to have rather than the Federation plots.
And we get more of them coming up, of course, throughout the series run, don't we, where the Federation isn't there. But I reckon that's quite a great thing because look what happens next.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't know, by the way, everybody, if you are new to Blake 7 and you're watching us, the next episode for me is so important.
Mm-hmm.
She arrives. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, you've got to tune in for us next time, haven't you?
And it's never the same again.
I would argue that, I mean, I love the crew of Blake 7, but I would argue that if you're into sci-fi in any way at all and you haven't seen Blake 7, then you have missed the best baddie that ever appeared on the small screen or the big screen.
Here.
She's phenomenal.
It's the voice as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact she does everything being bad in an evening frock and heels. I mean, that would be ridiculous if most
actors, you do.
But most actors, if they tried that, would just look ridiculous.
Well,
they would.
So, yeah. Well,
she carries it off.
She does. And she's in the next episode, and we are going to be talking a lot more about it. So stay with us. If you are new to the channel, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel. If you have already subscribed to the channel, please make sure that you are still subscribed to the channel. So I think this has been a good episode for our Blake 7 journey through season 1. But it's now time to find out for sure, because it's time for your scores on the teleport. Okay, if you're new to us, this is what I do is I go around everybody in the chat asking them to give a mark out of 10 for this particular episode. Of course, it is season 1, episode 5, the web. If you want to play the game, put it into the chat. Put your score out of 10 into the chat, please. That was great. Stephen Braddocks, before we get started, is saying, I love the hefty questionable morality of what was the right side. That's pretty true. And don't forget, says Gary, Blake's hand getting wounded and repaired by that creature.
Oh, yeah.
Remember
that? Yeah. That's fantastic, that scene.
That was lovely, yeah.
I'd forgotten about that actually. I mean, that is a good scene, but it's one of those little science fiction things that you find being repeated in other shows later on.
The jellyfish.
Yeah.
Enzyme culture.
Yeah. But isn't it unusual that it dies?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
its purpose was to heal somebody, and then that's it, done.
And then that's its life done.
Jurassic leeches, wasn't it? Really, yeah.
But again, proper science fiction, isn't it? It's there for one purpose only, on a planet in the middle of nowhere that nobody's ever charted. But there you go. Anyway, I'm going to start with Andy. Your score on the teleport out of 10 for this one, please.
Well, love the episode. It's one of my top 3 for this season. I can't think of anything to nitpick, so I'm going to give it a 10.
Oh, wow. 10 out of 10. Fabulous. Jodie, go on. What are you going to give the web?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, probably a 10 from me as well. That could have done with more Avon.
She loves Avon. Have you gathered?
Yeah. He gives a lovely smile in this one.
Oh, here we go. We'll be here all night if we carry on with this. She loves black leather later on as well. But anyway, that's another show. No. Paul, what are you going to give for the web?
Well, I think this is quite a creepy episode. It's got a good atmosphere to it. But a bit like Richard, the creatures in it do get a bit annoying at times.
Yes.
So that they got my nerves a little bit. I'm going to give it a respectable 7.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, a 7. And then Richard, we're going to go to you.
It's a solid story. Everything's really good about it. Now we've got some nice visual effects in there and everything. I'd give it a 9. I'd have given it a 10 if it wasn't for the screaming.
And Lex, what are you going to give the web out of 10?
Great characters as Blake and Avon all gelling together. Gant's famous line, as you can see, he did it. We're free, and great visual effects. 8 out of 10.
Fabulous. For myself, I love this episode. I have done since the beginning. However, there's a certain episode that for me is better. So I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. But I do love this episode. Don't get me wrong. I don't mind all the screaming, actually, because I had this in gay clubs years later. So I'm sort of we've got Richard Hussey giving this a 9 out of 10. There we go. Where we got Armour A is giving it 8.7. PTA is with us, giving it an 8. Thanks, Paul. Thank you very much. Paul Richard is giving it a 9 out of 10. Georgia has been with us. Hi, Georgia. Hope you're keeping well. Lovely. 8 out of 10. Mark McIntosh is saying it's a very atmospheric story. 8 out of 10. Good marks here. Much better than the thing we reviewed last night.
Yeah.
Sheila B is giving it 8 out of 10. And John Mason with us saying 7 out of 10 because it needed more in the budget.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough point, but this was 1970s BBC. And remember, it was getting nothing.
Yeah.
It was on no budget. Nearest damn it.
No. So it got the cop budget, as we said back in episode 1. Mark,
I think they had some of the, the rotating lights from the police cars. They were on the entrance. That's where they went.
Oh, it wouldn't. Yeah. We're considering that they were recycling a lot of the costumes as well. Mark Greaves is giving it 7 out of 10, and Carwin is giving it 8.5. It does what I love. Good story, no budget, and you've got some good character moments. It's like we were saying last night as well. With no budget, you have to be creative in other ways.
Yes.
And that comes out through direction and through set and through performance, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
To the benefit of practically all the old British television, because nobody had any money. Gary Bryant is saying, Optimus out of Decimas translation, 8 out of 10. Ooh, you. Ooh. And Stephen Braddock is saying, a bona fide classic episode, excellent sci-fi storytelling, great acting, visuals and set design. Avon and Blake are on top form, and the new effects are the cherry on the top. 10 out of 10. Well done. We can't praise the new effects enough.
Yeah, they're good.
Because they're on all the episodes, 13 brand new episodes, gorgeous done. I mean, wait till we get to the next one. You'll see me wetting myself live on the show. Anyway, coming up as well. It's great. But listen, thank you everybody for that. To Lex, to Richard, to Paul, to Jodie and Andy. I hope you've enjoyed that one. Thank you for reliving the web.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve Hindley's just joined us there as well. He's popped in a 9 out of 10 for the scores on the teleport. Wow. What high scores for an episode that is that old? I'm stunned by that. Isn't that amazing, everybody? Considering what we've just looked at over the weekend, where it was not getting anything like that at all, and that's with a massive budget, modern day effects, and here we go with something that was shown in 1978, slapping it down.
Yep.
Well done, Blake 7. Well done, Blake 7. What does this mean from Sheila B and the Devotions? Isn't there a sofa that comes over from another series? Yes.
Probably, yes.
Yes, the sofas that they're laying down on are from Space 1999.
Yeah. Oh, I can see that. Yeah.
And don't we get the recycled sofas for about 20 years from the Robots of Death coming into Blake 7 as well?
So it's probably Michael Bryant's house, and they just brought them in.
Yeah. Listen, watch out for this. When you see something that you know is crossed over, like the sofas, everybody can make a note of it and bring it into the chat when we talk to you about old. Richard Buckley is also saying, wow, 47 years old, amazing scores. John is saying, a great show, guys, thank you. And Stephen Braddock saying to us, excellent, enjoyable show tonight. It went so fast. That's what happens when you're loving a show and you get to the point very quickly. Stay with us here on the channel because, of course, I am so excited about episode 6 of series 1. I cannot believe it. We are going to be getting there. Not 1, but 2 classic villains arrive in the next episode. Seek, Locate, Destroy will be here on Who's Views Reviews very, very soon. Stay with us. From us here at the, we will see you again very soon, everybody. Have a great day. Have a great day tomorrow. Look after yourselves. Ta-ra, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.